I think I might have gone on the worst date I've been on in a long time. I know I talk about my book a lot, how to manage your girlfriend's white guilt. It's probably been about 10 years since the genesis of that book occurred, which was a date with this girl, Leslie. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, is this irrelevant? Is this like, is it me? Is it me or is it the rest of the world? And, accepting some of my faults and imperfections, I actually, for the first time, consider the fact that I may not be perfect. But I went out tonight with a girl that I matched on Hinge. She seemed really nice. We shared audio notes back and forth about a theoretical children's story about a princess and a spaceship because we joked about reading each other a bedtime story. It seemed really quaint. We met up. She was very pretty, very nice, very kind. We seemed to be hitting on all cylinders. We even, what's the word? we agreed upon the idea that like online dating has become very stringent and very, overly organized. People are hyper vigilant about what they're looking for in a partner, where it's just like, oh, if you don't vote this way or you don't believe these things or you don't do X, Y, Z, you're not a partner, which, I think is silly. I think it's about a person's personality and the nuance of conversations and the nuance of being a human being that define what a relationship should be, not these arbitrary checkboxes of whether or not a person is compatible with you. Eventually, we got to Black Lives Matter. And everything else was great. She seemed really cool and open-minded and level-headed about other things. And I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of refreshing. We got to Black Lives Matter, and basically I said, I was like, well, look, black people don't need white people campaigning for them. We don't need external forces helping us achieve what we need. Really, it has to come from something internal. And she said, well, and now I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to remember all the nonsense that happened tonight. She's like, well, that's silly. Would Black Lives Matter? What would happen if Black Lives Matter didn't have white people? I was like, no one would hear about it. And then she literally put her finger in my face. She said, exactly. You got to think about the marketing. You work in marketing. You need white people to make people pay attention to this. And I was like, you think you're making a really good point, but you're actually just proving mine. Which is number one, that it's just a fleeting campaign which has superficial value and of no use to the actual long-term benefit of black people. It's something white people are currently gracing us with their presence. And I'm just trying to remember how this fucking went on the fly. She goes, okay, well, you're interrupting me, number one, which is some wild shit. But then she's just like, what have you done to support Black Lives Matter? And I was like, live. The black life part. I didn't get murdered in Harlem from 1986 until 2004 when I left. I survived. My father was in fucking prison for 30 years. But I didn't follow in his footsteps. Why am I validating my participation in Black Lives Matter, this white marketing campaign you've come up with, to you? It was wild. And this bitch did not fucking understand the point that I was making. And I made some allusions to fighting for a better future for my sister, which is deeply important to me. But I didn't even need to do that. I could have just simply said, bitch, I'm black. Like, you're doing this for me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, man, I really thought for a long time that this little booklet here that I wrote was a narcissistic 20-something's vanity project. But I now see, more than ever, that the work and the message I am trying to convey is as important as fucking ever. the arrogance and entitlement of these people. And it's not white people. It's not white women. It's rich white liberals who go to Wesleyan, where she went, who think they're God's gift to this fucking planet. We do not need your help, and you are not helping. Oh, yeah, she said, here's the other thing she said. She goes, I helped close 3 prisons. And I was like, did you ask black people if that's what we need? She said, what are you talking about? I was like, well, number one, my father was in prison for 30 years, and frankly, he needed to be there for a little while. I'm glad he's out now, but I don't know what it would have been like to have been raised by my father as the man he was then. You know what black people need? Rich white girls to not gentrify our neighborhoods. And she's like, okay, so is that your opinion of what you think black people need? I'm like, bitch, I'm telling you as a black man from Harlem what black people need. Less white people raising the fucking property values 300% in the historical neighborhood that we've lived in for 100 years until you showed up 17 years ago. It was wild, lasses. Lassie, it was wild. I don't know, guys. I mean, I do a pretty good job vetting women, I think, online. And it's even weird now because there's this whole fucking like anti-dude energy out there where even talking about this makes me... Oh yeah, I mentioned my book at the end of that conversation with her. I was like, you should read my book, How to Manage Your Girlfriend's White Guilt. And she's like, sounds like somebody didn't go to therapy. I was like, what are you talking about? She's just like, that sounds like some unprocessed work you need to... I was like, oh, you're above reproach. And this just it just sucks that this makes me seem like a bitter, like, toxic male. Because, you know, even my stand-up, I make the joke that, like, black men and white dudes, like, we're on the same level now. Like, they don't see us any different. Like, men are men to these people. And, like, black dudes and white men need to do an 80s buddy cop action film escaping from the wrath of entitled white women. And again, this isn't like... This fixation with white women has nothing to do with, like, some unresolved trauma in me. It's just, like, they're fucking in control of the narrative right now, right? It just feels like everything revolves around their point of view. And, like... oh, man. Any Latina girls want to get a fucking drink? Jesus fucking Christ. This was a game changer. Tonight was a real fucking... Natasha, I wish you would just... damn it. She's the girl I used to see. She understood. Hungarian. She was a Hungarian girl, Natasha. There's a quote in Tombstone where Doc Holliday says, "Why, you Hungarian devil?" It's his, like, romantic muse that he, like, gallivants across the western frontier with. I'm a little drunk, but whatever. Fuck. This is fucking blue. It was a waste of goddamn money. Spent like $80 fucking on just drinks and shit. Oh, all right. Well, anyway, this is why I do what I do. It's not like because I want to. I would really love if this was 1987 and white women just didn't give a fuck about nonsense and they were just like, I just want to get my floppy disks for my typist job that I'm applying for. My baby takes the morning train. He works from 9 to 5 and then... This bitch put her finger in my face. Nigger-splaining me about Black Lives Matter. She said, "What do you do for Black Lives Matter?" Baby, I think you're missing the point. You know the name of the book. Give it a buy. Every cent counts.